Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Murray and I'd like to welcome you all to this episode of The Gift of Giving. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we focus on non-profits, 501c3s and foundations based here in the state of Nevada. If you're listening from out of state or anywhere else across the globe, I hope you will stay and tune in because this week's episode is a very important one. It's being aired today on October the 1st for a purpose. This was a very dark day in Las Vegas history. It's the fateful day in which 58 people were murdered and several hundred injured at the Route 91 Harvest Festival back in 2017. It's a day etched in the memories of those of us who live in Las Vegas and those who certainly lost their beloved family members and friends. To this day, many of you are surely still grieving and learning to live with your grief. Our guest today represents the Resilience and Justice Center, and they have several remembrance events lined up and also offer a plethora of support groups and therapies to those who still need help, and for those wishing to volunteer to help. These services are not only offered to those impacted by the Route 91 shooting, but those who are victims of crime and families and friends of victims of crime. I'd like to welcome to the program Tennille Pereira. Thank you so much for being with us today of all days. It's a very significant day for us. So would you like to start by giving us a brief overview of this organization and when it was founded?
Absolutely. So when 1 October happened, Clark County asked Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada to staff attorneys at the Family Assistance Center because there were a number of legal issues that were coming up. And so we did that. And that turned into a Resiliency Center, which we were asked to staff. And we did that. And then we were asked to take over management and operation of the Resiliency Center because as a 501c3, we have a lot more flexibility to meet the needs because the needs of, survivors change over time. And so we did that. So it is managed and operated still by Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. The name was originally the Vegas Strong Resiliency Center. And then when we started serving all victims of violent crime, along with our 1 October community, we changed it to expand that Resiliency and Justice Center.
So the mission has partly evolved too, as you've taken on a different role. It's morphed into different from its original purpose. You've retained the original purpose, but expanded upon it. Am I hearing that correctly?
Absolutely.
That's nice.
Yeah, we learned a lot of lessons.
Yes.
And things that victims go through trying to navigate the system and trying to heal and put their life back together. And we recognized that this was a big need in Nevada.
Yes.
So we expanded for all victims.
Yeah. Well, it was a horrific day, as I mentioned. What was it that made you join? Were you invited to join, or did you step up as a volunteer? How did it come about that you got involved in?
So I think everyone remembers that day after.
Yes.
And how everyone had this need or urge to do something for the community because it was so awful and so incredibly impactful. And so we were kind of itching to go and help. And so when Barbara Buckley walked to my office and said, they're asking us to staff the Family Assistance Center. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And so I kind of ended up taking on that project, not recognizing that 8 years later, I'd still be here, but I wouldn't change any of it.
No. Well, you're doing yeoman work, and what a valuable service you're providing to our community, and also those worldwide who have lost loved ones through this. You've got so many events planned today. I'd really like to jump into them. So because this is being aired and people might want to participate. Mm-hmm. First of all, you have the Sunrise Remembrance Ceremony, Would you like to give us some information about the sunrise ceremony, please?
I would. So this is an event that we partner with Clark County on. It's a beautiful ceremony. Family members speaks, community leaders speak, and it gives the community a place to go to remember together. It really is a beautiful ceremony. One of the important things that we've learned with survivors all over the world, it's important that they have a connection to these events and to this community still, so that they know we haven't forgotten them. And so it's also on Facebook Live, so people can anytime go on there, because it does air early, in the morning. So they may need to go on and watch it after, but it's available.
That's nice to know, because by the time this airs, it'll probably be after sunrise. So it's nice that there's still somewhere where they can go and check and watch it. What a nice program to have. Now, you also have a Route 91 human chain. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that really is a family of the 58 and survivor-led event. So what they do is they have, from the first year after remembrance, they gathered family and friends out there, and they have big poster boards of each of the 58, and they join together and they walk around to honor them and to remember them. And when it hits the time of when the shooting happened, we're basically on the corner between Mandalay Bay and the lot of where it happened, with the pictures of the 58.
Nice. Now, that happens at 9:00 at night, and it's John will put up the address on the computer screen. It's on the corner of Giles Street and Alibaba at 9:00.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Then you also have a reading of the name ceremony that's held at 10:00 or 5 minutes past 10 at the Las Vegas Community Healing Garden. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the reading of the name ceremony?
Yes. So the Las Vegas Healing Garden is a very, very special place that the community jumped in and built immediately after the incident. The city of Las Vegas has kind of taken this space and kept it up, and it's turned into this very, very beautiful place. And so each year, the mayor does the reading of the names. They light a candle and ring the bell for each of the 58 at the time that the shooting happened.
What a beautiful ceremony.
Yeah.
That sounds beautiful, lighting of the candle and ringing the bell, reading of everybody's names. Now, also at the Community Healing Center, you have a tile painting fundraiser that day from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Could you tell us a little bit about that tile painting fundraisers? There might be some people want to get there today.
So that's also a survivor-led event. The Healing Garden is expensive to upkeep, and there's always upgrades that need to be done. And there's a couple survivors that have kind of owned that space and kept it clean, and they remake the signs that get worn out from the sun and all of those things. So they spend quite a bit of money on supplies. So they're trying to raise some of the money to continue to do that work.
Oh, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I hope they manage to get a lot of attendees for that. And then the other one is you have the Route 91 Afternoon Support Group, and that's online between 12:00 and 1:00. And is this something that you have every year as well?
Yes, we add additional support groups every year because we understand that our bodies remember the trauma, even if we're fine for the rest of the year. When that day comes around, it can be really, really hard. And so we always offer additional support. And then, of course, it's virtual. So wherever they are, they can connect with us.
Tune in.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're also going to talk about some of your other support groups, but we'll talk about them in the next section. Please stay with us, folks. We're going to be right back after our sponsorship break.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at PacificCoastCap.com.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd certainly like to welcome back our guest today from the Resiliency and Justice Center, Tennille Pereira. She's the director, and thank you again for taking the time out to share with us what you're doing today. Let's talk a little bit about some of the support groups. Now, you have some specifically for the Route 91. You have an afternoon support group and an evening support group and a Spanish family support group. So would you like to give us a little bit of a background on each of those programs? How often, how long, and how many people attend?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had ongoing support groups since the Resiliency Center was set up. And we still have people that meet each week in those support groups, and we'll continue those until people don't want them. But they're really helpful for our survivors. The numbers generally increase around this time of the year because, they need additional support because it can be a really challenging time of the year.
Yes.
The Spanish one was set up because a lot of people didn't know that we had a lot of Spanish-speaking survivors that were at the event, manning the vendor booths, doing security, doing the porta potties, a number of different things. And they have a tendency to kind of pull back into the background. And we wanted to create a space for them where they would feel comfortable. So we found some great Spanish-speaking mental health providers that we worked with, and they have now created this beautiful community of survivors that support each other. So yeah, that's a really great group.
How nice is that? Now you also have some grief support groups that are for loss after violence, and you have an English group, a Spanish group, and then you have a third Thursday afternoon adult support group. So would you like to talk a little bit about the loss after violence support groups?
Yes. So those were created to support the general community that is dealing with the impacts of violence and trauma in our community. So, we had this awful incident, which was huge and very awful. But at the same time, we recognized we have smaller incidents that happen every day. Yes. Where we have people that, are dealing with that as well. And so we thought, let's work with our community partners and see where the needs are, where the gaps are. And those were gaps that were identified. So we established support groups for them.
Nice. Boy, you're really reaching out, aren't you? And I can see how the program's just expanded and evolved. Now you have some other groups that are sound wonderful programs too. Can we talk about the Heart program?
Yes. The Heart program is an amazing program.
Yes.
So the Heart program was set up for originally peer support for Route 91 survivors. Mm-hmm. But the programs that they do online have evolved to support all victims of mass violence. So when they meet, they have survivors from a number of mass violence incidents all over our country. And the world. Actually, we've had survivors from Canada from some of the incidents there, and the word gets out. We have connected with a lot of communities that have dealt with mass violence. We're often called upon because our incident was so large.
Yes,
we kind of looked at it as a model, a resiliency center, and we consult with other communities, but we're able to connect those communities immediately with resources and with other survivors. Yeah. And there's a lot of peace and growth and connection for them in those groups, because they live in a world where most people do not understand what they're going through and what mass violence does to someone. So that heart group, we've continued to expand it because the need is so great and we're seeing such amazing results from it.
It is an amazing program, and I can see why you're a role model, because there's been a lot of thought put into all of these programs, a lot of thought, caring, compassion, and concern. It's wonderful. And then you have a trauma survivor support group. Now, is that an online group or is it an in-person group where they meet?
It's an online group. We actually started it as one of each, one online and one in person. And what we found after 2020 was people didn't want to come back in person. They really wanted the online, option. And
Sure.
for trauma survivors, it makes a lot of sense because it lets them be in a space where they are physically feel safe and feel comfortable, and still connect with others.
Wonderful program too. And then you've got a first responder peer support group, and that's a wonderful group to have too for the first responders that had to deal with all of this. And it's nice that you have a support group for them. Do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
I do. First responders can be a real challenge to get them to kind of participate in some of these things. They take such a brunt in these events, and it's just compounded trauma. But they continue to put on that brave face.
Yes.
And often it can be hard for them to go to their employer or the benefits that they have through their employer and say, I need help, I'm not doing well. And so we wanted to make sure there was something available to those that, really needed help. And, we have no connection, we report it to no one, and they can connect with other responders. And
it's nice to have a program for them because sometimes first responders get forgotten through all of this. And then the other group that you have, and I forgive me if I mispronounce this, Resiliency and Comunidad. Could you talk a little bit about that program? I might have mispronounced it. Forgive me if I did.
No, that's okay. So when we had the incident with the gym not too long ago,
yes,
there was a large number of Spanish speakers that were impacted in that building. And they really were looking for somewhere to go and to connect. And we had this great trusted partner that we had worked with 1 October. And so they stepped up and said, we'll do a support group for them. And so that's where they are. But we now, we now help all victims of large incidents in the state of Nevada. So when something happens like UNLV happened, or that incident happened, or the City National Bank building incident happened, we go in and we're able to provide those long-term supports for them for healing.
And you mentioned UNLV, that's another program that you have, the faculty and staff online support group. And it's nice that they haven't been forgotten or overlooked through all of this. We're going to take another sponsorship break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about some of the integrative services that they have here at the Resiliency and Justice Center. Please stay with us, folks. We're going to be right back.
Tariffs, pandemics, rising inflation. The Joshua Dowden team is ready when volatility happens. Markets fluctuate for reasons nobody can control. Don't let the headlines drive your financial plan. The Joshua Dowden team at Priority Wealth Partners has served Summerlin retirees for 3 decades. Our 5-tier risk management strategy matches our strategies with your goals, with plans designed for your assets to be there when you need them. Conveniently located at the heart of downtown Summerlin. Call Joshua Dowden today or visit DowdenFinancialServices.com.
Country roads take me home to the place where I belong. Pasadena, Mountain Mama. Here comes a triple yodel. Adi-yodelay, the-little-lee-oh, the-little-lee-oh, oh-oh-wee.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to welcome back our guest today, Tennille Pereira. Thank you again for taking the time out, especially so close to October the 1st, and you have all this work to do. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of these integrative services that you have. You have meditation and mindful services program. Would you like to talk a little bit about that one, please?
Yes. So what we found is not everyone is ready for one-on-one therapy or counseling. It's not a one fit for everyone.
No.
And a lot of people are just really uncomfortable, but at the same time, they're really dealing with a lot of trauma and they need some type of coping skills,
Yes.
just day to day. And that's even for, people that are in intensive therapy. They need daily coping skills. And so we offer things like mindfulness and meditation. So in the middle of the day, they can log on and take 30 minutes to kind of ground themselves and calm their nervous system and, feel a little bit of relief from some of the impacts of the trauma. Nice
program. And then you also have yoga. You've got trauma recovery yoga. And now, is that a group session or is that another one online where they're doing it with a teacher? Or...
So sometimes we do it in person, sometimes we do it online, and sometimes we do a hybrid. Tri Yoga's trauma recovery yoga is a little bit different than regular yoga. And it was started by an individual that had dealt with her own trauma in life. And she was looking for something that was like yoga because it was her love before. But she went in and the music started playing and it connected something in her mind to the trauma. And she couldn't go back. And yes, so she developed a program where it's mindful of the trauma and mindful of things that can trigger that trauma so that people can still use these yoga skills to calm their body and their mind without being triggered.
Well, whatever works.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you come up with programs. Now, you also have an art therapy program and you have a music therapy program. Care to share on those?
Yeah, we know creative expression is really good for healing and it's really good for calming our nervous system. When our mind is in a creative space, it really allows us to calm some of those impacts of the trauma. Mm-hmm. And so we brought in a music therapist and we brought in an art therapist, and they do these sessions online. And it's one of the ways that is really easy to kind of break the ice with people that haven't done any healing work. And just for the general community, for general resiliency,
yes.
Right? We're all
perfect.
A little bit better when we can
yes.
cope with our every day-to-day,
no
load.
No question about that. And folks, all of these programs and support groups, there's information, it's all available on their website, all of it. And Tennille will be giving out the information later on, but just to make you aware. Now, another program you have, and this seems to be a very important one, the Remembrance Quilter program. That's a big one.
It is a big one, and it's definitely one of my favorites. The very first 1 year remembrance, we had a quilting guild that got together and made a bunch of quilts for the families of the 58. And they were put on display down at the Clark County Government Center. And they were just beautiful. Like the care and compassion that goes into each one of those, it just looking at them, they were so amazing and beautiful, and they were doing it out of love, and they would never meet the person that would have that quilt, that they wanted to do that, and they put so much time into them. But it's so symbolic to get a quilt, and quilts are comforting.
Yes.
They're so comforting.
Yes.
But have that symbolic kind of hug from a perfect stranger in your community. You know, it's the community saying, we care, we see you, we're here for you, and we want to give you this hug.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've got quite a few pictures of a lot of these quilts on the website.
Yes.
And it's well worth a visit to the website just to see the love and care, as you said, that's gone into these quilts. Lovely program. And then you have a responder wellness program.
Mm-hmm. We know that the first responders, if it's for survivors and families, they don't engage because they feel like it shouldn't be for them. We should help the families. We should help the survivors. But we recognize they need help too. They're doing this work every day, and it's hard work. And I think about what they went through on 1 October and what they saw and the heroism. So it's important that we have a program that is for them, for things that work for them.
Yes.
So that's why that program was set up.
Good program. And one thing I think is nice to mention is that also on your website you have tips for supporting loved ones with traumas, because it's people know loved ones that are suffering with trauma and they don't always know how to handle it and what to do. And you've got some excellent tips out there on your website for that. Do you want to share some of those tips or talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, the trauma impacts the entire family unit and, close friends. And it can be very uncomfortable, and people don't know how to handle it or deal with it. The biggest thing is to be there for them and support them in the way that they need to be supported. So we don't want to judge the way that they're reacting, because we have to keep in mind this is a very abnormal situation. So there's no right way to respond to trauma. So to not judge them, to love them, and to ask them, I see you struggling, what can I do? To recognize the ways that trauma is going to come out. They're going to be irritable. They're going to be grouchy, and you're going to be thinking there's no reason for it. But the fact of the matter, that trauma is in their body and they're dealing with it every day. So recognizing those signs and just supporting them in the way they need to be supported.
Yes. Good tips. They're nice there. It's a nice list, and they all make sense once you read them. What kind of volunteer opportunities are there? Do you have a need for volunteers with the organization?
Well, we're always looking for qualified providers that know how to work with individuals with trauma. We always want to make sure that we have providers that have the appropriate training and skills to work with trauma, because it is different than, say, like a family therapist. It is very different. So we're always looking for them to support at events or to be available if there's a response. We don't have a lot of kind of general volunteer opportunities, just because we are very careful about how we interact with the community. It takes a lot of experience and expertise.
Yes.
So
yes, no, and it's not unnatural to have volunteers with specific qualifications, and that's where your needs are, to have these volunteers that are experienced and knowledgeable on how to deal with this. How do you get funded? Do you get federal, state, local grants, governments, corporations?
We originally were on a federal grant, which is an anti-terrorism grant, because of 1 October, but that grant does not last forever. Kind of the intent of that grant is to kind of bolster the community infrastructure for these services and then kind of get out. So we also at one point had some state grants, and we've kind of come off of those because they're not always dependable from year to year. And we've worked with Clark County, and they are funding our operations.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you get donations from the public, though, or corporations at all?
We do, because when you're a victim of violent crime, your life can fall apart, and you might have issues paying a power bill, or your car might break down. How do we ask someone to go to therapy if their power is getting shut off?
Yeah. Good
Right?
point. Good point.
Yeah, so we take donations for that.
Well, it's good that people are giving to the cause as well. If people want to learn more about the Resiliency and Justice Center, can you please give us the website address and contact information where people can reach out and get in touch with you?
Yes, so you can reach out to resiliencyandjusticecenter.org, or you can call our main line, which is 702-244 something something.
Don't worry about it, John. I know John's got it, and it will go out on the program. So it will go out on the screen. So don't even worry about it. Tennille, thank you so much for everything that you do and what your organization does. Thank you for being there for the community, and thank you for being on this program today.
Thank you for having me.
No, appreciate you being here. And I'd like to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in today. I hope you will be able to participate in some of the events that the Justice and Resiliency and Justice Center has put forth today to remember those that suffered on October the 1st, 2017. And for what they're doing today, if you know of anybody who could benefit from this organization, the services they provide, please share this interview with them. And if you're looking to donate some money, I'm sure they would welcome it. I'd also like to thank John Stars, our show's producer, station owner of WWDBTV, for allowing me to host this program. And I'd certainly like to thank our sponsors, our Priority Wealth Partners, Pacific Coast Capital, the Firelight Barn, and my late business partner, RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. And I'd also like to thank Friends of the Gift of Giving. They're the anonymous donors who also help keep the program on the air. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me, Stephen at thegiftofgiving.vegas. I'd certainly love to hear from you. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay safe, be kind to one another, and please visit us again soon. Bye for now.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.